Hey, welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking Business Family. My name's Jeremy Kellett. I'm Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. On today's episode, I have got a special one for you. I got some guys that are in the marketing, advertising business. That's all they do. They eat, breathe, and sleep it. And it's actually the ones we use. So they're sitting here with me, and we are going to talk about marketing, advertising, basically for truck drivers and what it all entails. These guys are sharp at what they do, and I just want people to understand, what all goes into this, because it's a lot more than you would think goes into this. So we're going to do that here in just a second. But first, hey, as always, our sponsors, I appreciate you guys. Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer do a heck of a job. We just started using them, referring our owner operators to them. They've been doing great, right up the street from us. I definitely recommend you check them out. And, of course, Aero Truck Sales, as always. Those guys have been with us since day one, and they are fantastic. Keith Wilson doing a great job. So you're in the market for a used truck. We kind of specialize. I say we specialize. We're just good at it. First-time owner-operators and helping you get started to become an owner-operator. And Keith has helped us in that tremendously by getting you in that first starter truck. So, all right, let's get started, guys. Jeremy, Matt, Colin, man, I appreciate you guys driving down from Missouri, Fort Smith, and hanging out with me to talk about some of this advertising and marketing. First, introduce yourself so listeners have an idea who you are. Matt, start with you.
Sure. I'm Matt, again, with Ramsey Media Works. I've been there about 13 years with Ramsey. Been in marketing ever since I got out of college. So you're right. I do eat, breathe, sleep, this deal. And we're just excited to be here and be part of this event with you today.
Yep. How about you, Jeremy?
Yep. Jeremy May, VP of Client Services. I've been with Ramsey about 4 years. I've been in trucking a little over 20 at this point. And like Matt, I'm a lifetime marketer, went to college for it, and that's about all I've lived professionally.
Yep.
So.
How about it, Colin?
My name's Colin. I've been at Ramsey for about a year and a half. I actually interned at Ramsey briefly while I was still in school. I'm actually fresh out of school, and like Matt and Jeremy over there, I went to school for marketing, and this has been my first gig out of school. So I also eat, sleep, and breathe marketing. It's been a great experience there, and we're happy to be here today.
So let me get our listeners up to date here, up to track, because how we got to this point. So for years and years and years, me and Corey Huey works with me. We did all this advertising ourselves. As back in the day when, we advertised in magazines, print was a big deal. I'm talking 30 years ago. And then, it keeps evolving into more and more stuff till me and Corey finally realized, okay, we're going to have to get somebody smarter than us because we have reached our limit, and we just knew it, the way that it's going into, with the internet and what do you call the pay-per-click and all this stuff is just overwhelmed me and Corey, and we realized we're going to have to do something. And we got in touch with Ramsey Media, knew them a little bit beforehand, but you guys have helped us tremendously accomplish a lot of things here in the last, 2 years we've been with you. Been fantastic, but that's kind of how we got to this relationship, so our listeners understand. But we're going to have to dumb it down for me too. But what all you guys do for us? I look at it all the time, and it's hard for me to comprehend some of it. The way this stuff has evolved into digital, internet, all this stuff. Y'all want to start with, maybe how some of that marketing has changed, in the last couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It has definitely changed in the last 2 years, certainly in the last 13 since I've been, part of this, and continue to learn every day, about new things and new opportunities. But, when I first got in this, it was newspapers. You just basically had to buy an ad in a certain town, and whether it was in their Pennywise or their daily paper, whatever they have, we were able to kind of secure an ad and talk to those particular drivers, in those areas. And then it kind of went to the magazines, where drivers were able to go to the truck stops and pick up the different trade pubs and be able to see what opportunities are out there, a little flashier, because you could put photos and things like that in it. And then it went to started to get into more of the digital age, but it started out with Craigslist.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, who in the world thought that source, that was built to sell washing machines and bicycles?
I mean, if you mention Craigslist around Corey, he like, he just jars a little bit. He don't, because he used to have to go in there all the time and refresh all these ads we did for so long. Yeah, he don't mention it around Corey.
Yeah, they call that ghosting, where they would come in and other companies would take you down or whatever. And for the longest time, that was a big battle. We had multiple devices where we could submit the ads through different IP addresses. I mean, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare, and we did a lot of it. So we had to do that. Now you're right, into the cost per click and things like that, the pay per click model. Your Googles and some of your Indeeds and some of those type of job boards, if you will. That's really what it's gotten to now, and the beautiful part about it, it's a lot easier to track, so that we know how we're performing for you guys.
What's your take, Jeremy?
Yeah, well, so I've seen a lot of changes. I was not in it, in the print days. When I was getting out of college, it was really the I wouldn't say it was the birth of Google, but it was digital advertising was certainly, that was what the new guys at the job, that's what we worked on, because we understood it or had to learn it. And so I would say, one, I've been blessed in coming in, being at that right age at the right time, and kind of growing through that. But I think the biggest thing that I've seen in that 20-year span is really just how much audiences have been more fragmented. That creates challenges when you're trying to reach an audience. But people, you're talking about the print and radio and things. I mean, it was pretty easy to get in touch. I mean, there might have been 10 different magazines, but print was just one medium, and so when the digital age comes on, I mean, you've got Google. I mean, Facebook didn't have advertising platforms when when I came into this, and then it just continue. But then you have all those magazines became digital productions.
Yeah.
And so really, what happens is the, you can think about it with your cable channel, how many channels you have now. It was a lot simpler 25 years ago,
right.
30 years ago. And so, for us, talking about tracking and digital, it's, finding the right, how do you find those candidates you're looking for in your case? But I've just the fragmentation, I think, has been what's crazy. Is there's just so many areas that in your case, a driver spends their time, and so it's up to folks like us to figure out where's that right audience and how do you reach them, and then doing it in an efficient manner.
Yeah, and that's a challenge in itself there, having to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer strives to take care of our owner-operators as quickly and accurately as possible. As a family-owned and operated company, they understand and value the importance of relationships just like we do. That is why Oakley owner-operator Joe Williams continues to return to their shop for service on his truck.
I've been with Oakley Trucking for 2 years in this April, first-time owner-operator. It was a shock, the maintenance and the repairs on it, because I've never done anything like this before. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to try that Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer, because they're so convenient. They're right there off the interstate, right down the road from Oakley Trucking. And I talked to Nathan, and being an owner-operator, he tries to get the owner-operators in and out as quick as possible, because he knows if we're not rolling, we're not making money. If they tell me they can get my truck in at a certain time, they get it in at a certain time. If they tell me, well, it'll be ready at this time, it's ready at that time. So I can really count on them. They're competitive with anybody around, probably better than most.
Next time your truck needs serviced, give Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer a call at 501-568-2185 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast. Colin, you've only been in it a year and a half.
Yeah, they're speaking kind of a foreign language
Are
with
they?
the newspapers and even the television stuff. I kind of came in. We were still doing a little bit of Craigslist. We still do a little bit of Craigslist, but just the efficiency of just the digital advertising model and being able to change messages on the fly, within a month. They're talking about being able to track campaigns and that being a huge advantage of it. But, a company might need more drivers middle of the month. They might need to change their message in the middle of the month. And, with the newspaper ad, at least as far as I'm aware, I'm not an expert in this, obviously. You put that ad out and it's got a certain run time. It's in print. You can't change it once it's in print. But, the beautiful thing about, Google, Facebook, Indeed, and just those other job boards is, you can change that message middle of the month and those needs change, middle of the month, and you can make those changes on the fly.
I tell these recruiters out here once in a while, when I was doing print, I'd be in a Truckers Connection ad, a one-page ad, and the guy would call, the number on the page, and I would answer it. Well, you had to sell that guy right then because you probably wasn't getting back in touch with him. I mean, you had to really put it on him back in and figure, because, there wasn't any cell phones. You couldn't call him back. You call his house. We called his house, but he ain't there. You couldn't call him back. So we had to put the cell on back then. It's just how it's grown and how it's changed over time is amazing. And, you guys, though, explain a little bit about how, like a company like ours, we're specific, on who we're looking for. How do you target? What ways, without giving up any, stuff, how do you target some of these owner-operators that we're looking for?
Well, there's a lot that goes into that. I think, one, when you know who you're looking for and who you are, that makes our job a lot easier, right? Because, we're not walking into, an unknown. But, the technologies, all these digital platforms, there's so many targeting tools, and to be honest, 10 years ago they were too good. There's been some of the tools that we had that made it even easier have been removed, just privacy laws and things like that. But there's just a lot goes into it. There's everything from the messaging, right? We're not trying to. Like you said, you're trying to attract owner operators, but you look for a specific type of owner operator, and certain geographical areas. These are all things that would go into a campaign. So it's understanding and having good communication with our clients. So, that speed of trust is what we'll talk about. If you have a job need in a specific market for a specific haul type, we've got to make sure that messaging's right, because we're not trying to track somebody that's, for a end dump that is running pneumatics, right? So there's some of that's done just in the messaging and making sure that when, we put an ad in front of, 1,000 drivers, if you will, or 100,000, doesn't matter the number, does the message resonate with the ones we want to attract? And then obviously there's a whole lot goes into that, through your processing to make sure they're going to be a good fit from your guidelines and all that. And so
I tell them, I just did every Thursday. I talk to them, and I was just down there before y'all got here we had 6 owner-operators in there, and I tell them, I don't think you guys understand how hard you are to find. And they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean? I'm a truck driver. There's truck drivers everywhere. Well, no, you are hard to find. And I try to tell them a little bit why, because the specific one we're after is hard to find. And we have you guys generating all these ads for us out there in the areas that we want, and we're receiving phone calls all day, every day, trying to weed through them to see who qualifies and who doesn't for us. And there's a lot that goes into that, a lot, and expensive. To get on Google and pay for that kind of stuff, it's not cheap. What is, and let me know if I'm going a different direction, because I'm just kind of flying right here.
No, that's cool.
We're good.
Y'all got some questions. What's the biggest marketing mistake trucking companies make as it relates to drivers? Who wants that one?
I can.
All right.
So, I think the biggest mistake that people make is that they overpromise and underdeliver. You know, a lot of times
Through their ads?
Through their ads, yes, through their ads, through all of their messaging that they have out there. You know, they're saying one thing when they very well know that that's not accurate. Just to get them to call, you know, just to get them on the hook, so to speak. And then, and I'm not saying you guys do a fantastic job with your messaging, and your message is the same when it gets to the recruiter, but there are carriers out there that unfortunately don't, and they don't tell the full truth, you know, up front in the ads that they have out there, and then they don't tell them the truth when they actually get them on the phone, you know, and it's just over promising and under delivering. You know, they say, well, yeah, we'll get you home, you know, but that home might mean I'm gonna get you home every month, you know, or every 2 months. I mean, you know, they don't break that down. And so what happens is that a lot of times that's where that turnover, you know, happens. And as an industry, we see that, I mean, that's a massive issue, you know, that we face is turnover. And a lot of that stems from carriers doing just that. They're over-promising and under-delivering.
Well, you got a bunch of truck drivers right now shaking their heads. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. As we hear that a lot, you know. That and it, not to get off on the work history, then it affects their work history. Then it, you know, makes them look bad when they go to these companies. And I tell them in orientation, look, there's just as many bad trucking companies out there as there is truck drivers. So you gotta, you know, you want to be able to match and make sure you're both gonna be successful.
100%, yes.
You have any comment on that?
Well, I mean, I think that it kind of in the spirit of what Matt said, where, you know, it's not the overpromising is a good point, but I think the thing I see that often happens is that, you know, in recruiting more specifically, they're just trying to meet, and not everybody, but I think they're trying to meet a quota, right? They're just trying to, because you said earlier, they're hard to find. So when you get a phone call, I mean, it's in your blood. You got to sell that guy now, and I think that where companies often go wrong is they don't really just make a list of what they're good at. Like, what's their core? What's their culture? When I walk into a company, when I walked in here the first time, you can learn a lot. I mean, I can learn a lot in the parking lot. I can learn a lot when I walk through the door, through the front desk, and you start to learn about those companies. And so, and that's established generally by the president, the owner, you know, the founder,
Yep.
Top down, and how they believe is at the end of the day, that's how a driver is going to be treated. But if that ever gets disconnected, that's when the wheels start flying off the thing. So I think it's so important that, you know, a recruiter or a carrier understands that as a carrier, we're good at these things. No one company's the best at everything, but no one driver wants everything, right? I think some people, you know, want pay. Some people want home time. Some people want acceptance and community. What does your company have? And understanding that and selling to that, and it goes back to the campaign, you know, how do we attract them? It's getting all that story lined up. You know, if you're going to promote that you're one of the top paying companies, then we don't need to be finding people that have families that want to be at home, right? But if they have families that want to be at home and they need insurance, right, that's probably maybe not a great fit if they want to be an owner operator, if they put a high value on that company insurance. But again, it's finding both sides of that, because if they're good businessmen, if they're good with a wrench, they can make a good living as an operator, and then insurance is very affordable. And so it's really finding a good fit.
They gotta do their homework.
Yeah.
They got to do their homework too, you know, to find it. I mean, I tell them that in their calling all the time. Hey, you got to do research on us just like we're doing research on you.
Absolutely.
And that, and nowadays, I mean, you can find out about a company, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just with, you were talking earlier about the digital age and having, you know, so much about who we are, you know, who you are as a company out there. It's a simple, you know, search away from finding out, you know, everything you need to know about a company. And I think about it from, you know, the question that we were posing with kind of the dangers of misleading drivers. You get a driver on the phone, or you advertise to a driver that you're offering, a certain pay scale or home time that you're really not advertising. Outside of digital, word of mouth advertising is still a pretty big deal. So now you've, ticked off that one driver, but now that one driver is going to go out on job boards. Maybe he can go on a message board and he can say, hey, I just talked to so-and-so. Their ad says they're offering this much money a year, but that's all a lie. And now you've lost that one driver, and you've also lost many more by that one driver going out and spreading the word.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that is, they've got power when it comes to this internet and all the reviews and put whatever they want to on there, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
And that can affect big time, your company. I mean, what you said a while ago, Jeremy, was you came down here 2 years ago and visited us, sat down with us. We toured the yard. We had some conversations. You found out who we were, so you know how to advertise for us. And that, I've never had any other marketing companies do that, which I say that we had one, I guess. We don't ever use any. We never used any. But you guys got to know us, so you could, and we want to get to know y'all too, because, this has got to work. This deal's not easy, and we want to make sure we put out that right message of who we are, because we got a reputation, and you just can't turn it over to a advertising agency, marketing firm, and them put out whatever they want just to get phone calls. No, you guys have done a great job helping us dial that in to where we're getting some good phone calls. So,
I appreciate that. I think, in that, communication is key, and the fact that we are on a phone call every week, the same day, every week, that we know that we're going to get current updates. We know we're going to be able to change on the fly. If we're seeing something goofy, we're going to change it right then, and that's...
and you're able to do that now.
Absolutely.
With this internet advertising, you're able to change stuff.
Yeah, move budgets around, pause ads, make new ads. Instead of having to wait, in a newspaper for the run date to start, you can start it the next day or that moment. It's fantastic.
Well, and for our listeners, a good example was we've got this place in St. Louis, and we were needing, an ad in St. Louis, looking for some more local guys up there. So, we called y'all and said, hey, this is what we're looking for. And then you changed it. And then all of a sudden we're getting calls from St. Louis. That's the way it's supposed to work. It's crazy how that works now. But
I'd like to put a plug in right quick
all
for
right.
all listeners out there in the St. Louis area. We're looking for you.
That's right. That's right. What about social media? We do some of that. You guys do some of that for us too. How is that playing a part in all this world of advertising for truck drivers?
Facebook, as far as getting folks to interact with us, it's definitely Facebook. Facebook's still the elephant in the room. It's still the one that performs as far as getting folks to take action, to inquire, to send in a lead form. Facebook would be number one. But if you're talking about building your culture and talking about being able to have, I'm a big believer in testimonials. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can put comments on this podcast, but I think drivers want to hear from drivers. They don't want to hear from us, because they've been told different stories. And so they want to hear from their peers. And so a way to do that is through testimonial videos, and having your drivers interact. And YouTube is a great platform to be able to communicate with drivers about what your culture is like. So you mentioned earlier about doing your homework. That is definitely it's easier to do today, and it's paramount to the success of your future, as a driver, is to do that research. And so you go out there and look at YouTube and find videos of some of the current drivers that are with those companies and talking about how long they've been there. I always recommend when we're working with companies, we get somebody that's fresh and we get somebody that's been there a long time, because they're each going to have different perspectives. And so as far as social media goes, those two are the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it works great for us, and Annabelle does a good job on our social media, especially with the TikTok and the testimonials, just like she goes out every week and just about every day and tries to get a testimonial from a driver, and those, and I mean, that's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
We do podcasts on our owner-operators and talk about the success that they've had. They want to hear that stuff, and it's not made up. It's true. So, yeah, those do work really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you just got to stay ahead of it.
Well, if you're going to talk about TikTok, let's get Colin involved on that. He does a dance every Tuesday, I think, on the...
There you go.
For the whole office. I've actually, I missed the TikTok train. Instagram Reels is the train that I hopped on, and unfortunately, the Instagram algorithm is a bit behind TikTok. So I'm about 3 or 4 months behind what's popular on TikTok right now. I'm kind of out of touch with my generation, I think. So I need to do a better job. Hop on that TikTok train.
What's next though? TikTok. I mean, I know us three all sat here, and 2 years ago, TikTok. What is that? Trucking's not going to get on TikTok, and now.
I mean, they're trucker influencers
on
TikTok. I don't know much about them. I just know of a couple of folks in my circle who are aware of those influencers, and they're posting their day-to-day routine, and it's going live for whoever to see. And that's really just kind of shown folks what the day in the life of a trucker is, at least in that sphere.
Yeah, I mean it's instant now.
It is instant. Yes, it is.
The YouTube we talked about a little bit, but do you ever see that going away?
No. To that point I made earlier about audiences being fragmented, I mean, and the channels on your cable, I mean, everybody can create their own channel now. And 15 years ago when and I say 15, give or take, but when Google bought YouTube, I remember we used to have a rule of thumb when it came to, this is getting into SEO, I'm getting a little off topic here, but the rule was if you want somebody to read it, don't put an image on it on your website. If you want somebody to see it, don't put a video on it, because that was just where we're going to go. Our attention spans, we would rather consume the video, we'd rather consume the picture than reading it. And so, but you had to kind of understand what the goal was. And so video's not going to go away, but what's happened is we've gotten more fragmented. We want to consume more content. And so what you've seen is, and really Twitter or X kind of shortened our attention spans, right? I mean, Facebook, you could post a dialogue on it, and Twitter, you had so many characters. Well, TikTok, YouTube was kind of the same way. Originally, it was just put a video out there, and you'd have 30-minute videos. Well, TikTok, I mean, you better get to the point. Make it
So
quick.
is this making us all dumber? I mean,
I don't know.
I'm going to take the fifth on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just making us more the microwave generation of gotta have it now, now.
Instant gratification.
Well, here's
Instant
what I can,
gratification. That's it, Colin. Yeah, thank you.
here's what I can tell you. I don't feel like when I go down a rabbit hole on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or anything like that, I don't feel like when I'm done, when I put the phone down, because I'm usually doing it from my phone, I don't feel any smarter.
Yeah, true. True.
So maybe we are. I don't know.
Yeah,
the jury's
short
still
one.
out.
Yeah. But I've learned all kinds of things from YouTube. So, hey,
It has its place.
It does. That's the only social media I'm on. Is I do YouTube. For whether it's fishing, how to tie a fishing knot, or whether it's how to fix something at the house. That's what I do that. But
Absolutely.
But I've caught myself going in those shorts. Thank you, Annabelle. And I'm like, what am I doing? There's
you can
one after
spend-
another, and I'm like, what is this?
And you could find yourself like an hour or two into just scrolling through those shorts, and you won't even realize it. I mean, you've gone through hundreds of videos, and then all of a sudden it's 10:30 at night, and you wonder where the last 2 hours
It's
went.
a dang devil.
Yeah.
All right, let's think about truck drivers listening to this. Okay, and they're wondering why did this ad pop up on my phone? Why is this ad on my Facebook page? Why, can you tell a truck driver how that happens in a sort of bad way?
Yeah, I'd probably take that one. That's going to be more my area here. Well, I think, one, it's going to matter on the platform. So something like Google, there's really a couple big components of Google, YouTube being one, but and when you're just doing a Google search, if you will, that's going to be more of an intent-driven type ad. They're actually searching for some sort of solution, or they're looking for Oakley, and so those ads are going to show up. That one, they're probably not asking how that showed up, but it's important to know that if you did that on Google and you have a Gmail account and you're logged in, well, you've essentially given Google information about who you are and what you're looking for, and so Google Display would be another product on Google, and that's going to be more like a Facebook. Now, Facebook, obviously, people are getting into their feed and scrolling, but sometimes you're just on a random website and, I was just talking about that, and now this ad's following me around. Well, that may be because your device that you looked at was had a pixel set when you went to that website of that company, or you just told Google you're looking for something. And so when that's happening, you're now being built into what we used to call like a lookalike audience or a targeted intent audience or something of the likes. And so that just puts you into an audience type that we would utilize as a marketer to put an ad in front of you because we think that there's interest there. Or Google. Sometimes, Google's just saying, well, we're going to put the ad in front of them because we know they've done these other searches. So that's an example of it. But, a lot of companies will have on their own websites, they'll have pixels set where if you visit it, they know that you visited that website, that page.
What's a pixel set? You mean, what are you talking about?
So it's just some code that's put into the website so that when a device, whether it's your computer, your tablet, your phone, visits that website or web page,
okay,
then it just, whatever that action set, that the pixels, you've heard of like cookies. Sometimes you can cookie a machine, so that's being set on that device, and so that particular website. So if it's Bruce Oakley's website, and you go to that site, well, if it's on a page on careers or owner operators or opportunities like that, you could, with that pixel set, follow them around. Put an ad back in front of them because they came to that website, but maybe they didn't take the action you wanted. And so that's a way to target these folks. But on Facebook, it's very it's comparable, and this is with any ad platform. But it may be that you've joined certain company pages, or you've visited just within Facebook itself. You're searching for something there, and those are all flags to Facebook and their algorithms that allow us to go and target people that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. Now, it's very broad targeting, but
yeah,
it's a numbers game a lot of times in marketing.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, but you guys got it figured out. I know that when it comes to that. I mean, being able to target people, so and produce good phone calls for us, or good leads in general for us. It knowing what we want helps.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of different ways to target. That's one, the digital, side of it. So, your footprint, basically, whatever sites that you're going to visit, or whatever you're doing on your phone is going to generate ads that are going to pop up for you based on what you like, what sites you visit, things like that. That you're going to create a profile, a digital profile, if you will.
All right. So hang on, let me stop you right there. So here's the question that nobody's answered. This is really probably for my wife. Can the phone hear me? Because everybody's had a conversation, and then all of a sudden this ad pops up. These phones got to be listening to us. Y'all act like you know and you don't want to tell. Don't they, Annabelle?
It gets complicated.
It gets complicated.
But it's big data. So big data has been the story the whole time. What we don't realize is how many signals that we actually send that phone. And I was talking to our president Garrett the other day. I said, "Do you really have you ever?" Because I have an Apple iPhone. I said, "Have you ever, honestly, Garrett, have you ever just read the whole terms and conditions policy when you get an update on your iPhone? And he's like, no. And I said, me either. I said, and nor am I ever going to, because if I don't like it, I can't change it. I'm sold. I'm hooked on that phone. But what we don't realize is that every app that we've downloaded, that we've probably accepted their terms. And so what's happened is your Facebooks and Googles, these big ad platforms, because that's really what they are. Those companies generate ad revenue. I mean, and so they have, thousands of points of information on us that we don't realize that we're sending it. And so they have so much data about where we're at that when we walk into a shopping mall, that our phones are pinging cell phone towers. That's information to them. That's location information. So you can go to a truck stop and get a fueling station. If they got Wi-Fi, that phone's pinging something. That lets us know. That's information guys like us are going to utilize, because I'm not going to try to run your ad at the Super Bowl, unless you're, selling something to athletes, or somebody that likes the sport, And so, you just got to tell your wife that she's told the world a lot more about her than she knows in real life, because it's everything from what you've engaged with and it's your friends' comments, and at this point, AI has been the big buzzword the last couple of years, So large language models, LLM, it's crawling content, and it's consuming all those reviews that are on those Googles and Indeed websites.
Good grief.
All that is information that's out there, and if she left a review at a restaurant, good or bad, they know something about her. She likes that kind of food, or she doesn't like that kind of food, or that kind of service. And so it's all data points, and these companies have. I don't know. You're not really so much in the construction business, but if you look at a lot of the construction happening in America right now, it's intense. The infrastructure that's being built for data centers.
Really.
That's to store all that data they know about us. So that's really what it comes down to. It's just an information age.
Why? I guess just to sell.
It's all about the dollar.
That's what it is.
It's all about the dollar.
We're always I'm always amazed too of how we're able to put geo fences around locations, specific locations.
Explain that to our listeners.
So if you are at a specific location, let's just say Matt's, because it's coming up.
Yep.
Although we probably don't want to date that.
No, that's all right.
Okay. So let's just say we got Matt's coming up. So, and you're out there walking the floor there in Louisville, and you're scrolling through your social media, or open up ESPN or whatever. You might very well see an ad from somebody who has a booth in Matt's Oakley, and it says, "Come visit us at booth 1807." We're get it for a free chance to win an iPad or whatever. The message is, but that's based on you being there, and so we do have the ability now to target folks that are in specific locations, which I think is good, because as a recipient of that, and let's just say I'm at one of the ports, and I'm not currently happy with where I am, as far as the company that I'm with. And you've been kind of hearing about Oakley, and you've listened to a few of their podcasts. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have that easy button that you can just click and come in and visit us, on a website? So I think that it has value for sure.
Yeah. So you can get down to a location, like a
1 mile.
A 1 mile location.
1 mile location, yes.
At Aero Truck Sales in Springfield, Missouri, they take the hassle out of buying and selling semi-trucks. No matter the manufacturer, the style of cab, or the type of engine under the hood, they can make you a fair offer on your semi-truck with no games or gimmicks. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality, and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Arrow has partnered with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast for years and are proud to provide our owner-operators with trucks that meet Oakley's qualifications and each owner-operator's specific needs. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a change of scenery, give Keith Wilson a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
What do you think of all this, Colin?
I don't know.
I mean, you don't know anything else, do you?
No,
I mean,
this is what I've grown up in. This is all normal to me. You guys are, talking about something that I've been around my entire life. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they know everything about me. They know where I'm at all times.
And it don't bother you?
Yeah, I've gotten used to it, Just learn to live with it.
I guess in
the sense that it can...
Is there negative to it?
I'm sure if you value, your personal privacy, yeah.
I guess.
But, the positive side to it, kind of as Matt was mentioning, it caters to, our needs based on what we're interested in. So in a way, it makes our user experience, whether we're shopping or looking for a new job, anything of that nature, it makes it easier because it caters those the things that we're interested in, caters them right to us.
There's no getting rid of it. We can't erase it. They're gathering this information and we can't stop them. I say them. I mean, I don't.
Oh, it is them.
Let touch on before we get too far. Where we at? 40 minutes. We got to go here in a minute. But what about you mentioned AI? I mean, that's happening. Yeah. We were in a Zoom meeting the other day or Teams meeting, and they had on the screen up there AI. It's like a person, but evidently AI is recording the whole meeting, and then it can break it down for them. And I don't know what it can do. I mean, what is this? Are y'all using this stuff now, and what's it looking like in the future?
Yeah, well, the future's coming fast. I can tell you that. It's used. Yeah, I think it's used. Every organization's using it daily in a lot of different applications. Like you said, recording, a conference call or a phone call even. I mean, that's, when you talk about recruiting, using these to record calls and give analysis on it. It's the speed in which it can operate is incredible. People are using it to, produce content, writing scripts for podcast shows. There's just so many applications. It's writing code. I mean, you could, jump in and have it write formulas for you to, or algorithms. I mean, it literally, the possibilities, it's moving so fast, every iteration of it. It's here to stay. But I think, it's the spirit of technology. I mean, just kind of where we started this conversation in the beginning of marketing. I mean, radios and TVs were technological at one point, and they made conveniences and they were distractions. And, I think that there's a greater good than bad used with it. But from our standpoint, I think it's going to produce a lot of efficiency and productivity improvements in just corporate work life. But here's what it's not going to replace. It's not going to replace that driver.
Yeah.
We can talk about the cameras and all the things that go into, driverless trucks and things like that. But I can tell you right now, I want somebody. I'm not getting on a plane that don't have a pilot.
Yeah. Right.
I ain't getting on a road without a driver. I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't see it changing that. I mean, I think that we will have, new vehicles now, they'll drive for you. There's assistance there. And I think that's where the technology is it's there in ways that improve everyday life for us, whether it's work, play.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good explanation, and to kind of, so I can realize what it's going to do. I mean, it's here. It's going to happen, and technology is, we have to use it at our best ability, for what our purpose is. So, and our purpose is to find some good owner-operators to come lease on at Oakley. And you guys helped me do a great job with that, and I sure appreciate it a whole lot because you listen to us and you understand what specific things we're looking for in owner-operators, and it makes it so much better when that's narrowed down. When we get that lead, then we're able to keep it going. So Good information. Great information. Anything else y'all like to add? I don't know, might not have covered everything, but is there anything y'all had on your mind that you wanted to sure enough get out there?
I would just, when you are looking for a new job, new career path, whether you're looking, an owner, operator, company driver, whatever it is, do your homework. There are so many opportunities now for you to get online, to listen to what the drivers are saying about that company, read reviews. Just don't get in a hurry. This is for longevity. And I think that a lot of times people are in such a hurry. That's where that turnover happens within that first 90 days. I would just challenge each and every one of you out there listening to take your time, do the homework, talk to other people, find folks at the fuel island, talk to them, before you make that move, because they're going to tell you the truth.
Yep. Yeah, and there's just so many avenues now to find out, to do your homework, to find out about companies. You have all this information. You just got to weigh through it, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's true or not, I guess, a lot of that stuff. But I'll tell you, a big deal is this podcast right here that we do every week. It touches a lot of truck drivers, and it has helped us tremendously in recruiting and retention. It's given us that gap we used to have to communicate with our drivers and tell them some things and to help them and try to be successful. And this thing has been a challenge, to do it. But man, it has been by far one of the best advertising retention tools we've ever used.
You know what I see about it when I look at that? We're talking about technology and all these things. You've put the human element back into it. That's why I think it's so successful, because at the end of the day, it's that interaction. Yes, you're educating them. You do a great job of bringing in your drivers, but you bring in suppliers, people that that they could buy services and products from. There's just so many things to educate them, and so I don't think it's just entertainment value. I think the X factor there is that you've put the human element back into it, and I think that's so key, because in this world of fast changing in technology, we can't lose that human touch. I don't care what we do, and I was gonna say one thing to the drivers. I just want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for taking the job. It's not always easy. It's hard. But we're right at. We were talking on one of my meetings, I think this morning, about we're right at the 5-year mark of COVID. I still remember when COVID shut down. We drivers, I think in that moment, got the respect and recognition that they've always deserved. Because we were talking about them as heroes.
Yeah.
When we became so dependent on as a society on everything, and when the trucks slowed down for a little bit, and that we're still living in that world. So I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
And I think
Matt still got toilet paper.
That's right.
Yeah.
Please don't give out my address.
Colin, anything you'd like to add?
No.
Good.
No, not at all.
All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate y'all doing this. It's always good to see y'all. Appreciate you driving down from Missouri and hanging out with us a little bit, doing this podcast. And I think it's going to help people. I really do. It's sure going to educate. It's educated me, just to learn a little bit more about it. So great stuff. As always, I appreciate you guys listening to the Oakley podcast every week. We got a new one comes out every Wednesday. A lot of stuff going on. If you've got suggestions, if you've got questions about this one, comment, call me, email me, and I'll get the question to these guys and they'll answer it for you. Don't mind doing that a bit. So as always, let us know if you got something that we can do a podcast on. Be glad to research it and see if we can get some information out there too. So thanks again. We'll talk to you next week.